It is me, it is I who just had a baby, and now I'm here to give you the gist on how I wanted a vaginal birth and ended up having a cesarean section. My heart is just racing. I don't know why it's racing, but it is racing. Anyways, FYI, I am 11 weeks postpartum, which is almost 3 months postpartum. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. Okay, maybe we'll do that in another video. I experienced early labor for almost 48 hours, and they'll usually tell you that your contractions have to be 3 to 5 minutes apart before you go to the hospital. So I was having contractions consistently for almost 2 days, but I couldn't go to the hospital because they were like 15 to 30 minutes apart. Sometimes I have them up to 10 minutes, but they are hardly ever like 5 minutes apart. Okay, it was very inconsistent, and I knew that if I had gone to the hospital, they would have sent me back. So there was actually like no point going there. So I tried to labor at home. I stayed at home trying to, just wait it out, and also hoping that while I'm in labor for this long, hopefully my cervix is also dilating so that once we get to the hospital, sharp, 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 that baby is out. But as God we have it, that was me writing my story. But God decided that He was going to write it in another way. In fact, I didn't even know I was in early labor till like maybe 2 hours in when I realized I couldn't sleep. That was when I was like, okay, this is serious. I was listening to a podcast while I was just on my yoga ball, just trying to see if this were like false contractions and all that. My due date was just like in next 2 or 3 days. So I was just like, you know what, maybe this is just false labor. I was trying to wait it out. I was trying to do what I need, all that they said I should do. Like in that 36 hours that I labored, I couldn't sleep. For real. I was sleeping like 30 minutes or 1 hour straight. In fact, not even straight because I'll wake up, I'll turn, I'll try to sleep again. But at least I could sleep through it a little bit. And so I was waiting it out, waiting it out, waiting it out. Then on this fateful day, I started to have serious contractions, really, really strong, and they were very close, and they seemed close together, but they were still a bit inconsistent. So I had to watch. I kept watching timing my contractions with the contraction app, and at this point, I couldn't even sleep on the bed anymore. I tried to sleep in the parlor, the sitting room chair. I tried, but I couldn't sleep. And they say you are in labor when you know that you cannot sleep through your contractions because I couldn't sleep. I tried everything that I knew, but it was not working. So at this point, I had time that I had checked. I couldn't sleep, you know. The contractions were waking me up. I was a bit skeptical because by the time I woke up in the morning, it was my due date. Okay, and I had an appointment for that day. I was supposed to go to the hospital to just, for monitoring because that's what they do for you as from 37 weeks. Okay, in France, I don't know about other places. I was expecting to go for monitoring that morning, but it was not making sense to me. But excuse me because was my first time. I have not born before. I've never been pregnant, so all of these things was just very new to me. So I was thinking, should I just go in for monitoring? Can you imagine? I was thinking, should I just go in for monitoring or I should actually go to the emergency? Thank God for ChatGPT. because with ChatGPT that just told me, look, madam, if you go for monitoring, they will not take you seriously. So go to the emergency. At least if it's false alarm, they will just send you back home. And at least they will take you seriously to get it. So I followed ChatGPT's advice. This is what they mean when they say ChatGPT is our best friend in this our generation because I didn't know what to do. So I woke my husband up. In fact, he was already dressed because that night I was having very serious contractions, but they were not close together. So it didn't make sense for me to go into the emergency, okay? So he already dressed up and everything. He was like, when you're ready, we're leaving. So I woke my husband and I was like, it's time. We need to go and have this baby. And he's like, okay, what do you need? I tried to eat. I made a potato porridge previous. I was still cooking with all these contractions. It's not occurring to me that how was I doing all these things? So I made that meal so sweet. I digress. Okay, I told my husband to bring it out and he warmed it for me to eat because in my mind I'm just like, once I get to the hospital, I'm gonna born this baby. She's coming out today, straight up. I told my husband from the get go, I was like, any Uber guy that's picking your ride, please tell him your wife is in labor so that he knows that I cannot just fly from the window and enter into the car. He needs to be patient with me. And so the first person that picked our ride, my husband told him, my wife is in labor, blah, blah, blah. The guy just cut the ride. He just ended the trip. He just cancelled the ride rather. And my husband told me, I was like, you know what? He's not our person. He's not our person because look, I'm not in the States to be stressed. I will eat anybody raw that talks to me anyhow. So please, I was like, you know what? Order another one. And as God we have it, the second Uber guy was just a godsend. Did you get? He was so patient. He came into the compound. He parked very close to the door. You know, in our apartment, there is no elevator. There's no elevator, so you have to climb, and we stay up. I have to climb with my contractions down to the ground floor and walk to the park. It was hard. It was really, really hard, but I did it, man. I did it. Thank God. So I get to the car and the driver opens the door and I have a contraction right there and there. And he's like, oh, madam, enter. I should sit down and let's go. At this point, I'm like, monsieur. I was like, attendez, monsieur, s'il vous plaît. was I was fighting for my life with that contraction, and he was telling me so. He was like, "Oh, madame, c'est pas problème." He was like, "There's no, c'est normal." He was like, "It's very normal. That's okay. He will wait." He was very sweet, to be very honest. And so I got into the car. You see that car ride from the hospital, from my house to the hospital? The way the contraction will be doing you when the car is doing like this and doing like this, it was something else. It was crazy. So every contraction, I would just hold my husband's hand and we squeeze it, you know. He would just calm me down. He would just, help through the contractions. Because we went for birth classes and, we learned it, to, like most people we say when they're having contractions that they want to slap their husband, they want me. It was not like that for me. My husband was the only reason why I could go through those contractions because I would just squeeze his hand or I would do whatever I want to do with him and he would just be calm. So it was helping me, I didn't know that the emergency entrance is different from the normal entrance. He didn't know the emergency entrance, neither did we. But he kept stopping on the road to ask people like, where is the emergency entrance, so place and all that. And God so kind, we met this nice woman that explained to us because we know French people are not exactly very friendly. But this woman answered us. And the man at the entrance, he told them, I'm with a pregnant woman. She needs help and all that. The guy was a sweet man. He was just sweet. And so drove us in. My husband went to tell them, my wife is here, she's in labor. Then they helped me into the reception. See, I don't understand why you're in labor, you need to do admin. I don't know. Why do you need to do admin when you're in labor? Like, I don't understand. But thank God, I did it. So they asked my name, they asked my insurance card, all of those shebang. What next? So they took me to a midwife to see me and to check how dilated I was. And she checked and she was like, "You're just 2 centimeters dilated." And if you see the shock on my face, I'm like, "What? You mean after almost 3 days of being in labor, you're telling me it's just 2 centimeters? Like how?" I was thinking that she would tell me like 4 or 5, say. At this point, I was weak, like mentally, not like physically. I was just like, ah, God. Anyways, they monitored me. They saw that my contractions were very close together. And yeah, my contractions were very close together. They were very strong. And, that monitoring was also very stressful for me because I had to lie down. And I don't know what is with lying down and contractions. The contractions, at least mine, was very bad while lying down. It was really, really, really terrible. I would rather stand or sit doing a contraction, but I had to lie down for monitoring. It was hell. And so uh the midwife now came. This one, she was very nice. This was the one that the first midwife I saw transferred to the second midwife because she was now on duty, and she came. She was black. She's a black woman, and I really liked that. So she came and she was like, "We're gonna take you to your delivery room and give you an epidural and hope that your baby can, it's easier for your baby, for your contractions to progress." That was what she explained to me. And in my mind, I'm like, whatever you need to do, you do it. That was what I was just telling myself, like, whatever you need to do, I was just telling her, like, whatever you need to do, you do it. Okay? Me, I'm just here to have this baby, however way she is ready to come. And they take me to the delivery room, and she's like, "Oh, can I call the doctor to come and give you the epidural, because it's anesthesiologist that gives epidural, right?" I don't know whether it's a nurse or doctor, but that does the epidural. Or it's I don't know, but an anesthesiologist is gonna do your epidural. And at this point, I'm like, I was really skeptical because I'm like, people say epidurals will give you long-term back pain. They will do this, they will do that, they will do... There's a controversy around epidurals in general if you check the internet. Me, I know that there was a part of me that knew that I was going to take the epidural one way or another. So I kept stalling. I was like, okay, let me see if the contractions will progress a bit before I take the epidural, just in case epidural slows it down. My dear, we waited for an hour or two, and at this point, my husband was just like, let's just do this epidural thing, just get the epidural, let's see. Because she came to check me, and I was still 2 centimeters dilated. Like, I was just frustrated. Then I think the second time she came to check, I was 3 centimeters. I'm like, after all these hours, I had been there in the hospital for about 6 hours plus, and you're telling me that it's just 1 more centimeter that has entered. Like, how? At this point, I was just weak. So I just said, you know what, whatever. I was like, whatever, let's do this epidural thing. Let's get it over with. And more, that epidural thing is scary, man. Because when they put that needle in your back, for me, it is the fear of what the internet says about epidural that makes it scary. It was not a needle because I didn't feel anything when they were trying to do my back. And another thing that makes it really risky is that they're injecting it into your spine. Get it? So you cannot move. Imagine having contractions and having to inject something into somebody's spine. So you don't move. So you have to monitor your contractions while they're doing contractions. So he'll just tell them, we are about to have a contraction, and they'll pause for me to breathe through. After the contraction, they'll continue. But they were hailing me after after they injected me. They're like, you really tried it. In my mind, I'm like, see? See, this is a lot, but I just want to get it over with, the epidural. And if they need to pause, let me say you can, because with the machines, you can tell that, oh, a contraction is coming. So when a contraction is coming, you can tell them, oh, a contraction is coming, so they can pause and so they can pause for you to breathe before they continue doing it. So my husband was the one monitoring the, because the person giving you the epidural, it's a two-man job. Like, it's just not you. It's not about you, just you. It's also about the person that is giving you the epidural. They have to be very careful because so many things can happen in that moment. So you have to also remember that you have to support them while they are doing the epidural for you, because it, it can lead to a terminal thing. But anyways, let's not get there. I don't know if there is something in epidural that makes you just talk. I started saying, oh my god, labor is so beautiful. That was what I said after they gave me the epidural, because I didn't feel nothing. There was no pain, nothing. So at this point, I'm like, okay, if this thing progresses, I feel like I can push this baby through. After the epidural, my midwife came to check how dilated I was, and there was no progress. And she was like, you know what, at this point, I'm just going to bust your water. Like, she's going to bust my waters. Okay, it's called waters, not water. You're going to bust my waters and see if labor progresses. After busting the water, we noticed that there was urine. The amniotic fluid had been polluted. Okay, yes. So at this point, she's like, okay, don't worry, but we would, let's watch you for another hour and see if baby would, move. So an hour had passed, another hour, and I was like, okay. At this point, me and my husband was like, is it that we have to do it? Yes, but we just kept thinking, no, we're not doing this. This is not what we planned. This was not the plan. That was how I now started to feel sick. I was running temperature. I was feverish. I had a fever. It's very hard for me to have a fever, man. It's very hard. And when I do have a fever, my temperature is like through the roof. And they checked me. They were like, okay, they're going to give me paracetamol to see if my temperature would, normalize. And I heard apparently in France, they don't really like to do ACS except it's absolutely necessary. And I like that. Okay. I really do like that. So they gave me paracetamol. I think at this point, after like 30 minutes of that paracetamol, or even 15 minutes, the midwife already knew that this one is going to do a CS. But they didn't tell me that. They managed the situation so well that they made sure I was not stressed. So that, with giving a patient a lot of information can cause stress. They were not hiding things, but they were also trying to manage my emotion, which was so good, you know. So at this point, she did not tell me we are gonna have a CS. She was just annoying me. I don't know why, because she kept giving me all sorts of things and trying to do all sorts of tests. I don't know whether she was stalling. I think she was stalling with all of these things, because at some point she now said she has informed the doctor of the situation, and the doctor will come and talk to me. I'm like, what's the doctor talking to me about? Because they told me once you see a doctor in your delivery room, you are having a CS. There is no other way. Because the nurses and midwives that do normal vaginal birth, when it's going to doctor, just know that it's operation. So I'm like, what's the doctor doing here? She's like, oh no, the doctor is going to come and brief you. She didn't want to talk to me about it. She was like, the doctor is going to come and brief you. And the doctor came. Honestly, I don't even remember what his or her face looked. I have no idea what it looked like, because they were on masks. So I didn't even care in that moment. And doctor told me that at this point, I'm going to have to have a CS because I'm having a fever. My baby is in distress, blah, 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 because she has stayed like for a long time in the stomach, and so she's in distress and all that. Hey, I was just like, hey God, hey God, hey God, this cannot be me, this cannot be me, because I didn't really want to have a CS. Do you know what it is for them to cut you open? Nobody wants that. At least not for the first time. At this point, talked to my husband. My husband was like, I was like, what do you think? He was like, I just think we should have this CS and just get it over with. The most important thing is that baby is fine and you are fine. That is what matters. It's not for us to keep holding on to a vaginal delivery and it's hurting me and hurting the baby. So I was just weak. So I called my brother. My brother is a doctor. So I called him to just ask for medical advice. And when I was just telling him, he was like, That was what my brother was sounding like. He was like, you know what? He just told me, he said, a CS does not take time. In an hour, you'll be done. You'll be fine. Your baby they'll be done. Your baby will be out and you'll be okay. It is better than risking it and going the vaginal route. And at the end of the day, you know, you have complications. At this point, I just broke down. I was crying. I was just crying so much. And my husband was like, it's okay. It's okay. It'll be fine. Just calm down, you know. And they wheeled me outside of the delivery room to the theater. They told me my husband was going to join me. And so they wheeled me out of the delivery room. And I waved my husband. He told me that he was going to come with me. So they were going to get him scrubs to scrubbing, right? And so when they took me to the theater, my anesthesiologist was the best. I think her name is Grace. I'm not sure, but I think her name is Grace. She was so sweet. I have never understood the function of an anesthesiologist until that day because she was too sweet. She asked me where I live. She asked me why we chose where we chose, you know, to live. She asked me so many questions to calm me down. And in all of this, I kept asking, where's my husband? Where's my husband? You know, where's my husband? Where's my husband? Because I'm like, if my husband is not here, I'm not doing this thing. Because I was really scared, you know, and I felt like I was surrounded by strangers, and I don't trust people. Like, one thing about me is that I low key have trust issues. So I feel like I'm in the middle of strangers and they can do with me whatever they please. And the only person that I know that I trust is not there. I just kept asking, where's my husband? Where's my husband? They kept telling me, oh, he's coming in. He's just scrubbing in to join you and all that. Not knowing that the surgery was so delicate that they were not even sure they were going to let him in. But since it's not, they told me it was an orange situation, okay, not a red situation. So he's supposed to scrub in. But at the same time, I think my situation was quite peculiar. I don't know for whatsoever reason. You know, we realized later that it was quite peculiar and they had to be really careful and really professional about everything. They now told me if you feel any that what you're that they've with the anesthesia, I'm not supposed to feel anything, and what I would feel is tugging and pulling. That that is normal feeling for like for the procedure that they're about to do. So it's quite normal. I should not be alarmed if I feel that, but every other thing I shouldn't feel. After a few minutes of tugging and pulling, I heard the cry of my baby. She was crying so much. You know, immediately she came out, she was like, she was crying, and they put her by my side. I'll try to attach a clip. It's quite graphic, so disclaimer, it's quite graphic, okay? I'll try to put a picture. She was crying. She had swallowed so much amniotic fluid and everything. And when I saw her, she was so black. Like I'm like, who born this black baby? In that moment, I was thinking like, there was a part of me that was just like, why is my baby black? I know that I'm not necessarily fair, but I'm not dark. I'm not dark. Like, the darkest part of my body is my face. So I'm not dark at all. But in that moment, I was too happy. Was I happy? I don't know if I was happy in that moment, or I'm not gonna lie, but I was too tired and stressed to be thinking to dwell on it. So I was just like, "Oh, baby, welcome, welcome home. I love you so much." That was what I said to her. And we couldn't film any of this. We couldn't film. We could barely take pictures. My husband had to beg them to allow us to take pictures. And so I was like, "Why is she so black?" But I was like, "Well, it doesn't matter that she's black, yellow, pink, red, whatever. She's my baby. I will love her nonetheless." So I was like, you know what, that doesn't even matter. My husband was in at this point. Okay, he was in with me. Okay, they gave the baby to my husband to carry, and they took her. Like, it was very fast because there was no time, because he had swallowed in so much amniotic fluid that they needed to take her to emergency and take out the fluid, and hopefully that will regulate everything. So at this point, after they took her out, I wanted to puke. I felt like I was going to puke. And my anesthesiologist was like, it's supposed to be a sensation. It's not, nothing supposed to happen. And she tried to regulate. I don't know what she was doing, but she was doing something to make sure that I don't puke. And the sensation of puking went down. I felt like I wanted to puke again in like 10 minutes. And she was like, why is this occurring? It wasn't a big issue, Sha. Thank God I didn't eat anything. So at the end of the day, nothing came out. But, you know, I was very weak. After they finished the operation, told me congratulations, everything went well, no complications, you're good and everything. And I was like, are you sure? Because I've never been under the knife before. Like, I've never had an operation in my entire life. So I don't know how it's supposed to feel like. I told my anesthesiologist, I was like, I feel like I'm dying. Am I dying? I told her, I feel like I'm dying. I've never said that before. And I was like, am I dying? She was like, no, you're not dying. You're very okay. She was so sweet. She told me there was an IV in my hand. There's fluid constantly going into my system, so nothing can happen, that I'm okay, that it's just a sensation. I was like, are you sure? Because I'm so hungry that I feel like if I don't eat in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to die. She was like, hunger is good. Ah, I can never underestimate an anesthesiologist again in my life, because that was so good. That was so good. She was like, as long as you're hungry, that's a good sign. She was like, so be happy that you're hungry. She was like, in 2 hours you can eat. I was like, in 2 hours? Great, but can I survive 2 hours? She's like, you will survive 2 hours. And yeah, they took me to the recovery room where they cleaned me up and did all of the, the things I really can't remember. And I saw my husband, he was winking at me. In my mind, I'm like, you're winking at me? Me that just came out of theater. But he was so happy to see me, that I was okay, because he was so worried. You know, it's not easy to see two of your favorite people go into, surgery. It's, it's a lot. I told my husband I should go and get me food. I don't know, I just want to eat anything. That he should go and get me food, because if in 2 hours I don't eat, I don't know what's going to happen to me. He told me that, oh, baby had a complication because she swallowed in too much fluid. And by the time they took out all the fluid, she was breathing very heavily. She was breathing very, very, very strongly. And they had to regulate her breathing. But she's fine. It's just that breathing that they have to monitor. So they brought the baby to me at this point, and they were like, do you want to see your baby? I was like, yeah. you can take her, because we were like, they're taking her to the ICU, taking her to neonates. That's neonat, that's like a NICU. It's called neonat in France. So we're taking her to a NICU, right? For English speakers, neonat for French speakers, okay? And they're transferring her to NICU, like her breathing. They already put like oxygen mask and all that for her, but they wanted me to see her if I wanted to, and I was like, no, I can't, like, because at this point I just was too confused between reality and like at this point I was just too, it was too heavy for me. Not that it was heavy that my baby was going, I wasn't concerned about her, to be very honest. I'm saying this, drag me any day. I wasn't concerned about her because I was convinced in my heart that she was going to be fine. I don't know what you get. If you're a believer, I don't know, but that was my conviction. My conviction was that as long as this child comes out of me, she is going to be fine. I don't know, there was peace in my heart for her. I knew she was going to be fine. So me seeing her, not seeing her was not a bother for me. I just knew she was going to be fine. And my husband was following them everywhere he needed to be. Okay. So I wasn't concerned. I just at that point felt like I was fighting for my life. And bringing baby to see me, I don't know how that's going to help me or her in that situation. So I was like, my husband has seen her. I have seen her in the theater. I was just like, oh no, it's fine. Thank you. That's what I told them. And I ate. When it was 2 hours after my surgery, I was able to eat. I was so happy. I was able to eat and I felt like a human being again. I was just with my husband at this point, and the next morning I had to stand up and walk because they say it's compulsory. I know how they say when you walk, your first walk after a CS is brutal. I don't know. I can't relate. I'm not saying it was easy. I'm just saying like maybe I over prepared, like I expected the worst, so it didn't feel like it was so bad. It just felt normal. Do you understand? I didn't have that experience of, oh my god, this is so hard and all that. Nada. Nada. Was good. I took my first walk and then they gave me a wheelchair because I'm not supposed to walk too much, okay? Gave me a wheelchair. My husband wheeled me to the NICU, okay, where baby was, to see her, and I saw her and I was like, my god, you're so beautiful. Oh my god. At this point her skin was shining. She was now looking like my child. At this point she was looking like her skin was shining and everything because they had taken out all the fluid from her, and she was just everything. She was sleeping when I came, and I was just like, Kai, I give birth to a wonderful girl. Now she's almost 3 months and she is the best thing that's ever happened. She's almost 3 months. She'll be 3 months in a few days, and that is just so unreal. It has been a lot. The first 1 month was a lot, but it has gotten better. Okay. My mom is here and she has really made our lives so much easier than it would have been if it was just both of us. So that was something that really, really, really helped us. And obviously the TikTok University. TikTok University has been teaching us a lot of things about how to care for baby, how to take care of yourself and all that. So yeah, that is it. I'm sure this was a really long one. Probably the longest time I've sat down to say anything on this channel. And I really hope that you enjoyed it. It is Ahova e Abianto. So goodbye and see you soon in another video. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Okay. Bye and take care.